Breaking news. I repeat, breaking news. Michael Jordan and Isiah Thomas are still beefing. Their beef continues decades later. Um, Isiah Thomas recently just came out and said that Scottie Pippen and Tony Kukoc were good enough to win a championship without Michael Jordan. Is this petty? Does he have a point? Or is he just hating? I'll get into that in a second. But let me go ahead and put this tweet on the screen so you guys can get some further context about how this actually happened and why Isiah Thomas chose to say this about, well, the GOAT, Michael Jordan. So, a certain person named Ashish tweeted, and he said, I'm sorry, lucking into the greatest player in American sports history because Portland's front office was delusional doesn't make Krause great. Sure, he did a good job, but without Michael Jordan, the Bulls have zero titles. So let me just go ahead and break this down first and give a little more context to the Michael Jordan and Isiah Thomas beef. So as you guys know, Isiah Thomas was running the East before Jordan got the throne. Isiah Thomas in the Detroit Pistons, they beat the Bulls 3 straight years. And then it took a fourth year for the Bulls to eventually take down the Pistons, get to the finals, and Jordan, well, won his first championship. But after that, keep in mind, this is where the beef really started. That was just a rivalry. The beef really started when Michael Jordan supposedly snubbed Isiah Thomas from Team USA, which turned out to be the dream team. And so since then, Isiah Thomas has had nothing but negative things to say about Michael Jordan. And he's thrown shade at Michael Jordan, hated on Michael Jordan, and basically just said Michael Jordan wasn't all that great, which Isiah Thomas kind of, if anybody could say it, he can because he beat Jordan 3 straight years. But that leads me on to my next point. Did the Bulls front office really get lucky? Well, yes, they did get a bit lucky, but with these type of things, luck has to be in your favor. Yes, sure, they got Michael Jordan, and Portland should have drafted him, so Michael Jordan did fall to them. Sure, but the reason why I'm not going to say that the Bulls got lucky or that Jerry Krause, just fortune was just on his side, because he made those other moves. He drafted Scottie Pippen, who Isiah Thomas obviously believes is good enough to win a ring with. He acquired Tony Kukoc, who Isiah Thomas obviously believes the Bulls were good enough to win with. He got guys like Horace Grant, BJ Armstrong, Steve Kerr. These are guys who they won a championship with. John Paxson, Will Perdue. These are guys who the Bulls won championships with. And then also he turned around and made big moves to get guys like Dennis Rodman. So these are guys that the Bulls actually won rings with because Jerry Krause was competent enough to go ahead and make those moves. So no, I'm not going to say he got lucky because he was making things shake and making things move. He got Ron Harper. He got Bill Winnington. These Luke Longley. These were all championship pieces, and they made those happen through mixing and matching and drafting and whatnot. So yeah, Jordan fell to him, but they still had to build a championship roster, and Jerry Krause and the gang was able to do that. So I'm not going to equate anything to luck. But with that being said, let's further dive into Isiah Thomas's comments about Tony Kukoc and Scottie Pippen being good enough to win a ring, because that's what this is all about, correct? Correct. So basically, I'm going to just start at the 90s when they ended up winning their first ring with Jordan. We'll start in 1990 and we'll go through 1998. Do I believe that the Bulls had a legit opportunity to win a ring during this time? Absolutely. Absolutely. They definitely had a shot. And I'm just going to go straight to the year 1994 when Michael Jordan happened to be retired and he wasn't there. What did the Bulls do? Well, Scottie Pippen had a career year. During this year, Scottie Pippen was a legit MVP candidate. Scottie Pippen and Tony Kukoc led the Bulls to the number 3 seed in the East. Scottie Pippen and Tony Kukoc led the Bulls to the semifinals, where they ended up losing in a hard-fought 7-game series to the New York Knicks. I know you're saying semifinals, okay, but here's the thing: the New York Knicks went on to the NBA Finals, and they ended up going 7 games with the Houston Rockets, who obviously ended up winning it. But if they could take the Knicks to 7 games, I could potentially say they could take the Rockets to 7 games. And with that being said, if I'm like, do we give Scottie Pippen and Tony Kukoc 8 years? Are they able to make it further and potentially get to a finals? I say yes. They both would have grown as players. They both would have grown into their roles. Scottie Pippen would have became a more legitimate number one option, and Tony Kukoc would have became a more legitimate second option. Guys like Horace Grant would have stepped up. They would have, and once again, like I said, Jerry Krause was willing and dealing. He would have got some other pieces in there as well. So I do believe that they would have had a legit shot. Do I feel confident saying 100% that they would have won? No, I don't. But I do think they would have legitimately had action. And I wouldn't be surprised if they won it any of those years. But my thing about it, Isiah Thomas, is if we're going to go with the hypothetical, the Bulls win a ring without Michael Jordan because Scottie Pippen and Tony Kukoc were good enough to do it. If we're going to do a hypothetical, let's not half-ass it. Let's talk about the full tale, because if that's the case, Jordan's not just dead and gone. This actually means that Michael Jordan would have went number one. So, what does that look like? Well, Michael Jordan gets drafted to the Portland Trailblazers. Michael Jordan is then teamed up in 1984 with a 21-year-old Clyde Drexler. um, In 1988, Michael Jordan basically won the Defensive Player of the Year, the MVP, and he announced himself as the greatest player in the world. Well, in that same year, Clyde Drexler averaged 27 points. The year before that, he averaged 22. The year before that, he averaged 24. A couple years later, he averaged 26. A few years after that, he ends up getting a ring. I don't think it's crazy to say that an Olympian, an eventual NBA champion, a multi-time All-Star, a Hall of Famer, that if we were to pin him with Michael Jordan, that the Bulls, or that everything the Bulls did wouldn't have happened with the Portland Trailblazers. So I want to go as far as saying, well, if they don't luck into getting Jordan, and let's say the Bulls have Tony Kukoc and Scottie Pippen, they don't win anything because Michael Jordan would have been on the West Coast with Clyde Drexler, and they would have ran off 6 rings, if not more. So that's my only thing, Isiah Thomas. If you're going to hate, then put everything into perspective. Michael Jordan would have still had those rings, whether he was on the East Coast, on the West Coast, in the North, down South, wherever he was at, he would have got them rings. But ultimately, in conclusion, chat, I need you guys to let me know in the comments, in the live chat, wherever. Let me know. Do you guys legitimately feel that Isiah Thomas is hating, or is he telling the truth? Would these guys have really got a ring without the GOAT? Yes or no? Until then, I'll catch you guys later breaking some more hot news for you.